Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I decided it was time to set up Dune Awakening to take a break on the public server. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right into the content. So basically, it was time to ensure that my base was broken down and all of the stuff that I took so long to acquire and basically make was safe. And so that required a little bit of planning and some thought and ultimately a lot of work. It took about 2.5 hours. Obviously, I'm going to be cutting this video up quite a bit so that you could see a lot of what I did. A few things that needed to happen were pretty annoying. Like, for example, I never replaced my assault thopter after I got ganked. I pretty much started the private server directly after that and focused in that direction. And then, of course, I hadn't really been back here other than to refuel my generators and that sort of thing. So I made a list. And those are just things that were important to me. You may have a completely different list when it comes to what you really, really care about. But for me, obviously spice was important. Silicon blocks are very important right now since flower sand is treacherous to get. Cobalt paste, mostly because it's just annoying to acquire that stuff. It's not like it's too hard, but I didn't want to have to go out of my way to get too much of it. Particle capacitors, advanced servox, those two things come from deep diving all of the crazy Imperial testing centers. I had quite a few of them, and I really didn't want to have to go back and get more if I need to when I come back. And then I added irradiated slag, plasteel, composite armor plating, advanced machinery, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm sure you could think about, like EMF generators, the high-end materials like stravidium, fiber, and plastanium. Anything that required a substantial effort to acquire, I was going to find a way to keep it safe. So the first thing I needed to do was get my thopter back up and running. I had most of the stuff I needed, but I was required to do a little bit of farming. So I had to go out and get some aluminum, I had to get some jasmium crystals, and then I had to make the different things that were required. So I had those going. Then I ran some errands outside of the game. When I came back, I was ready to go. I built the assault thopter, and then I started the transport efforts to get all of my things from Haga Basin into the bank at Arakeen. The big problem is that when you get there, you can't tell the banker that you want to transfer stuff from your thopter. There's a workaround. So you've got to go to the exchange, act like you're selling something, select your vehicle, and then transfer the things into your backpack, which of course means that you have to break them down into small enough chunks that you can actually take them. So for example, I had a 500 stack of cobalt paste. Well, I can't carry that. It's too heavy. So I had to go all the way back to Haga Basin, break it down into smaller chunks, go back to Arakeen, and then I was able to transfer that into the bank and keep it safe. So that was very frustrating and really annoying. They do not make this easy to effectively stop. They don't really even think about the fact that maybe you'll want to take a break and not lose all of your progress. So that kind of sucked. But that said, I did make, 4 or 5 trips to Arakeen to get all of that stuff transferred. I filled up the bank pretty fast because there's only 30 slots and there is a weight limit. So I put a buggy in there. I put some of the most high-end mats that I just really didn't want to lose, and then I just had to figure something else out. Enter my really unseemly and terrible storage unit. I basically took a subfief, built a very small storage unit kind of near my base, and then I basically filled it with a single generator, a bunch of storage, and I closed it off with pentashields. That was mostly because I just didn't want to be going in and out of doors, and I had the materials, so why not? And it didn't significantly cause me any kind of trauma when it comes to storing power, or rather maintaining power while I'm not playing. After I got the thing built, I had to then break down my base because I wanted every scrap of material. If I was going to have a storage unit anyway, I might as well have a place to put it all, and I might as well keep as much as possible. So once I got the base built, I put in all of my storage containers, but basically I would empty one, break it down, go build a new one, put everything in it, and so on and so forth. And then I just had to do the back and forth, moving everything I had into the area. Once I got everything out of the base, it was time to destroy it, effectively turning it into nothing. I put it that way because it was pretty sad. I gotta admit, it was a little emotional. This thing took a long time to build. I've seen it dozens, if not hundreds of times after coming back from crazy runs all over the map and in the deep desert. So destroying this structure was just a big time sad, especially once I was completely done and there was nothing left, and you just look back and it was a big empty space where it used to be. I mean, this was a massive structure. It was 3 additional segments of fief that I was pulling out. And I don't know. I'm still a little emotional about it. But anyway, all that said, once I got everything into the new area, I double checked. I've got enough fuel cells stored in the boxes to where I just have to log in every 20 days to refuel it. I've got basically 100 days before I'll need to go out and get more fuel cells in order to keep the base. Hopefully, within 100 days, they'll have some new content to make it worth coming back. I don't know how I feel ultimately about what I've had to do. I mean, I'm glad that I found a way to store and save all of my stuff. But at the same time, I find it really annoying that there's no in-game mechanism for taking a break. I don't want to take up a massive amount of the skyline if I'm not actively playing, because I don't need people to be running around going, wow, that jackass in his massive base just sitting in the middle of nowhere. He's not even playing. Yeah, that's kind of lame. And I mean, I could have left it there, and I probably could have kept it powered and stuff, but I started to have a little bit of anxiety about it. Like, if I got really distracted and totally forgot, well, that would be crap. I'd lose a lot of stuff. Actually, I would still lose a lot of stuff now, but at least I'm not taking up all the space. So I guess I hope that within the next 100 days, they do come up with some mechanism for you to maybe, I don't know, break down your stuff and put it into a storage area that they designate for taking a break, or maybe even provide you with something that you can spend a little extra money on that gives you more storage for some of these things. I mean, I don't need like thousands upon thousands of nodes. I just want to make sure that some of the most important things that would allow me to jump back in with minimal effort are able to be stored. Now, one of the cool things that I should mention is that the Solido replicator now does take everything from your base into account. So before I started breaking things down, I did do a snapshot of it. So if I did want to rebuild the exact same base, I could. Now, I have done a lot of building since I constructed this monstrosity, and I'm pretty sure I would do it very differently this time around. I would make it much smaller. I wouldn't necessarily spend the money to get all of that extra terrain. I'd probably build it on higher ground just so that when my Thopter took off, I would already have a bunch of altitude. But, you know, none of that really matters right now because I'm not going to be playing on the live server until there are more changes. Now, I did just hear that there are changes to where the high-end mats appear even in PvE zones in plentiful amounts. I have not checked that myself yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it's true, but if it is, then maybe when we come back, it'll be easier to jump back in. Or who knows, they might actually make it harder. I don't know. The final thing I did to ensure that I was ready to take a break from the public server was to dismantle my Assault Thopter and store it. My Scout Thopter is in the vehicle replication tool. The buggy is in the bank. The bike I have is in the storage unit as well. I've got all the storage right there. Very easy. The base is out of the way, so it shouldn't really be annoying. It's kind of an eyesore. It looks like a U-store, a storage unit or something. But all around, I think it'll be fine. And basically, that was my experience. Let me sum up with a quick list of what I did just so that you have it here in case you're interested in doing this. The first thing I did was I made a list of the most important things to me that I wanted to put into the bank at Arakeen or Harko Village, if you prefer. For me, that was things like spice, silicon blocks, cobalt paste, and plastanium, as well as stravidium fiber. The second thing I did was I built a subfief because those are not taxed, and I built it fairly close to my base, but still off the beaten path, so it was out of the way. I then ensured that it was secure so it wasn't going to get damaged in a storm. I put in a generator. I ensured it was powered up and had shields so the storm wouldn't mess with it. And then I started to transfer things from my old base to this little storage unit. The third thing I did was I ensured that I had everything cleared out of the base and that all storage containers were empty and moved before I started to demolish the base. And then the final step, of course, was to fully demolish the base just to get every scrap of material back from my construction and have it stored. So once everything was moved over completely and the base was gone, I was able to then just do a quick inventory, make sure everything was cool, and then I was very close to being done. The last step was to ensure I had enough fuel cells to refuel the thing without having to run out and get more. And in this case, I had 2,000. That should be enough for 80 days, plus I've already got 20 hours. So we're looking at 100 days of keeping that base safe with shields. There's no taxes because it's a subfief, and all of the things that I care about are either in the bank or here with me. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, and I'll do my best to answer it. Just know that this takes a while. Again, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. It took 2.5 hours to do all of this process, and that did involve a little bit of my own mistakes. For example, be sure that you break things down into smaller groups before you go to Arakeen, because you can't transfer them if you can't hold them. And of course, I had to build some of my assault copter. I'd say that if you're a little bit more prepared, or you know these pitfalls that I just brought up, you could probably do it in, I don't know, an hour and a half if you're super efficient, maybe less if you don't have as much stuff you care about. But anyway, have you decided to take a break? Did you do any of this stuff, or did you just not care? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.